So tell me about your grandfather.
My great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather. He lived in the western part of the county, near Poppa in Tennessee, right in the corner, northwestern part. And he ran a little country store.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a picture of his little country store with him on the porch.
Wow.
And he had just about everything that you'd want in that little store or need at that time for most people.
Uh-huh.
He had material and just all kinds of pots, pans, overalls, shoes, whatever you needed, and groceries.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran this little country store, and he got to loaning money to people. He had some farmland, but then he began to loan money to people, and then he at a high interest rate,
Mm-hmm.
especially during the Depression. He had money at that time, and he would loan money to different people, and then of course when they couldn't pay, he foreclosed on their farms. They had houses too on their farms, but the houses were not much, but the farmland was very valuable. And he gained quite a bit of property through foreclosure of loans there. So, but in this little country store, he just had so many things, and he couldn't read or write, but he had a knowledge of numbers, he had a knowledge of words stuck in his head. And he was, very, very smart. But he had lots of family gatherings. Here we were with 4 generations of families gathering there. And he had himself had a big family, and each one of those children had big families. We just went on down. And we would gather at like holidays, maybe 4th of July or something like that. He'd always have this big wash tub with ice in it and lemonade. And then he'd have, of course, everybody brought food, and we'd have a big table just spread out all over the yard with it just went on and on, seemed like. And of course the kids played, had a good time. We just got to know everybody. And we just grew up like that. And he, in this safe, he had this big safe in the big room of his house.
Mm-hmm.
Had a big house, a big farmhouse. And it was fairly modern. He had a carbine lights. They were just little sconce on the walls, and they were run by carbine. Now that's all I ever remember. And but anyway, he would open up this safe, and in the safe he kept his ledgers and some of his money, and notes that he'd had on people, and just different things, in this safe. And he would open that safe up, and when we were all there, and get the silver dollars, lots of silver dollars, and the men would play washers with those silver dollars.
How do you play washers?
They'd dig a hole in the ground and then try to hit that hole with those silver dollars.
Okay.
And then another time I remember Mother telling, I think this was before I was born, that she and Daddy were visiting Big Poppa. And he dragged out a $500 bill and showed it to them. And he said, "Now, Fredra, I want you to look at this $500 bill because you'll never have one." So, but anyway, he was very boastful about his money.
Mm-hmm.
And then another time he came by. My cousin and I were visiting my grandmother, and we were there. And Big Poppa came through. He had a vehicle of some kind. I can't remember what it was. I guess a truck, because he'd gone to town to get different supplies for his store.
Mm-hmm.
And he stopped there. So Bonnie and I were visiting grandmother, and granddaddy, of course. And Big Poppa always wanted us to give him a hug him. And he'd always give us money, a nickel.
Mm-hmm.
That was his. So he came by this particular time, and he wanted us to give him a hug. Well, I wouldn't hug his neck because he dipped snuff and it was running down his chin. And I wouldn't give him a hug. But old Bonnie did. She got that nickel, but I did not get a nickel. So he was Big Poppa to us. And as I said, he loved to brag about what he had, his money.